Ted, can you give us an update on some of the latest changes with your core system, Episys?
Well, I think, with any core system, you got to start with compliance. So it's, we continue to have significant amount of compliance requirements that the system has to accommodate. The latest being HMDA, CECL, are probably the largest initiatives that even though reporting for CECL isn't for a couple of years, you got to start the data collection a couple of years in advance to be able to do the predictive analytics that are going to be required. So that's been a big effort for us. And then as we move more into the core general features, a couple of things we're pretty excited about. One of those is we have started to look to the next generation interface for the users, the employees of the credit union, evolving beyond the traditional desktop to support the branches and the newer boutique or cafe style branches. So we're moving fairly quickly into taking the traditional desktop bound user interface and making that available through responsive design on touchscreen laptops, on tablets, even some functions down to the iPhone. And we're actually demonstrating in the booth this year being able to do teller overrides and approvals off of an Apple Watch. So kind of showing the full gamut of overrides, where overrides traditionally has been at the desktop, can now be at a desktop, a tablet, an iPhone or an Android, all the way down to an Apple Watch. So just the unconnected credit union employee.
That sounds very interesting. And I think you touched on some of these changes already, but any other technological changes that you see coming down the road or that you're preparing for?
Yeah, well, I would tell you one of the biggest changes, it's everything digital. So we undertook a very large project a couple of years ago related to a strategy of what we call services first, which is the enablement of web services for all of the business logic and functions of the core system. And the objective there is really to support the elusive omni-channel, which goes beyond, the traditional teller and call center through mobile, home banking, IVR, the new chat box, and then overlaying that with artificial intelligence to make smarter decisions, predictive type decisions, anticipating what members might do next and anticipating that and then taking action related to it. So a lot of variety, but really kind of the theme in there is driving through all the common channels. You want common decisions. You want a common set of simple things like challenge questions for multi-layered authentication. You want the same challenge questions for mobile, for home banking, for voice response systems, as well as the call center and the teller line. So we don't confuse the member. Simplify for the member, improve the experience for the member.
So that sounds like a good philosophy for core systems in general. Any other trends that you're preparing for?
I think, a couple of the trends obviously that we're seeing is, I call them super regionals, and that's, the larger credit unions. I mean, who'd have thought we'd have over 250 billion asset credit unions, and the number's growing every day. We've got a steady group of credit unions in that 500 to $1 billion in assets that are one merger away from being in that fairly exclusive billion asset group. So looking long term at the future and where those credit unions are going, what we see is the regional expansion, which is aided by digital, but also through mergers, acquisitions, the branch expansion strategy, selective branches, but people are pushing well out of the traditional regional or geographic boundaries that they've had. So we're seeing credit unions operate, in a 4, 6, 8 state area, and some credit unions even on a national level, really competing with some of the largest who really are ahead of the pack in doing that. So geographic expansion for the big guys going to continue to be a big driving force, I believe.
What are your general thoughts on the credit union economic landscape?
I think everybody we've talked to in the last 12 to 18 months has been nothing but positive. From a standpoint of membership growth, everybody I've talked to is seeing, 5, 6, 7% membership growth, and even more incredible, they're seeing double-digit loan growth. So the general atmosphere we're seeing is positive, healthy, good growth. Had a couple of credit unions mention to me they're even starting to look at how to attract deposits, which is something we haven't heard in a long time, is trying to grow the asset base. So it's gonna be interesting. I think we're in for a couple of pretty good years.